the UEFA Champions League next season. And talking about the UEFA Champions League, a moment of history for Bodo Glimt, defeating the runners-up of the last season's UEFA Champions League, Inter Milan, 2-1, and winning the league Milan home and away, right? And as you mentioned earlier, Manuel Akonji with a blunder at the back, which led to Bodo Glimt's first goal. But you can see the second goal of Bodo Glimt. It was wonderfully dispatched. I mean, a beautiful pass that was taken down and dispatched quite beautifully by the Bodo Glimt midfielder. Now, what do you think of that particular situation, Mr. Mayowa? Bear in mind that this is a Bodo Glimt side that was almost eliminated from the group stages of the UEFA Champions League. I mean, they were 23rd on the table. They won only 2 matches. They drew 3 matches, and they lost 3 matches as well of the 8 matches that was played in the first round of the UEFA Champions League. And they were last. They came second rather last season in their league. They came second, losing the league only by 1 point to Viking. They lost the league only by 1 point to Viking. What do you think of the trajectory of those Bodo Glimt team now? Because they've defeated Man City, they've defeated Atletico Madrid, and now they did it on the grandest stage of all, defeating Inter Milan, allowing them to qualify for the round of 16 of the UEFA Champions League. First off, what do you make of that match? And secondly, what do you think of the trajectory of this Bodo Glimt team? Do you think they have what it takes to go all the way in the UEFA Champions League?
Well, I think the last time we saw an underdog team win the UEFA Champions League was Jose Mourinho's 2004 Porto, and the last time again, before that time, the last team that was an underdog was Partizan Belgrade in the 1988 version of the European Cup, as they call it at that particular time. Partizan Belgrade, coming from Yugoslavia, then it was still Yugoslavia, they ended up winning the Champions League. I mean, what Bodo Glimt has done has been fantastic. And let me shock you, at the moment their league is not on. They are practically on holidays, and
Exactly.
the league, they've not played any competitive match in the league since late last year. I mean, they've been on holiday, and for them to be in that shape, to be able to beat top teams, kudos to their coach and kudos to what they've been able to build. You said it correctly. They defeated Atletico Madrid at home, away at the Wanda Metropolitano. They defeated them away. They defeated the Man City. Now they've defeated Inter Milan 2 times, home and away. It shows how good that team was. A lot of people said the first leg was because of the stadium was the stadium is small, because they have to play on an artificial turf, and that particular region is very cold. They have to warm the pitch and the rest of that, but in Italy yesterday, they showed class. They showed a whole lot of class. The same guy that scored in the first leg, Hague, scored again. He scored again. I remember that same player actually played for AC Milan. He was part of the AC Milan team, and he made several appearances, in their own form of Clasico. That's AC Milan versus Inter Milan. But yesterday, in the first leg, he showed up and he scored. And after that particular game, he said he wanted to go to Milan and prove a point, and he was able to prove the point. And one thing you should not take away from that particular team is this: even after he scored, while he was celebrating, he was telling Berg, the other guy that hit the ball before the keeper parried it to him, he was telling him that, why didn't you pass to me? That is how passionate that team is. Even after scoring, he was still calling his colleague out for not doing the right thing, in terms of, because he was very free. He was supposed to lay the pass to him, and he would have scored a free goal rather than scoring a rebound. So I think that's the kind of mentality we want to see, and I will not be surprised if that team go all the way. I think it is high time we see another underdog win the UEFA Champions League. It's been too long. The last time this happened was about 22 years ago. I think another team winning it right now, another underdog team winning it right now, will be, will be a breath of fresh air for the Champions League, and not the usual, big guns that used to win the Champions League.
Exactly. I share in that sentiment. With Bodo Glimt right now, they are playing beautiful football, and just as you mentioned, they are not playing any league football, so they have so much time on their hands to be able to train, to be able to get themselves, to be in sync and get ready for the UEFA Champions League. And quick one, we go to Wanda Metropolitano, where Atletico Madrid defeated Club Brugge by 4 goals to 1, and Nigeria's own Ademola Lookman, 5 minutes after coming in, you know, came on and gave Solot a beautiful assist that led to another goal for Solot in that match. What do you make of that match, Mr. Mayowa, especially after Club Brugge, went all the way to draw 3-3 in the first leg of that particular fixture? What exactly do you think of the Atletico Madrid and Club Brugge match yesterday?
Well, I mean, it was a fantastic performance. Solot scoring a hat trick, and yesterday, yesterday was the days of the Norwegians. If you recall, Solot is also a Norwegian, and he was instrumental in demolishing Club Brugge. Atletico Madrid was unplayable yesterday. Guillermo Simeone, Diego Simeone's son, was very, very fantastic yesterday. Our own Ademola Lookman came in and contributed. And when we're talking about about the game, I was talking to somebody else, before that particular game, and I said, the way Diego Simeone has been playing, the way the attacking threat that Diego Simeone has been able to assemble together, is a powerhouse and can take him very, very far in this particular competition. And those attacking threats, they showed up yesterday. Diego Solot was very, very fantastic. Guillermo Simeone was very, very fantastic, breaking play. Antoine Griezmann too was very, very fantastic. Yes, they also defended so well yesterday, and we saw the result, winning 4 goals to 1, demolishing the Club Brugge side. And remember, a lot of people felt because of the stats, Club Brugge has never lost playing against a Spanish opposition, especially away. They've never lost. Yeah, and yesterday, like I always tell people, football is like biscuits; it can crack from anywhere, and record and stats are meant to be broken, because stats tell you that or record says you win 20 games before, you have won 20 games in a row, does not mean on the 21st try you will not lose. And we saw that yesterday. It was a fantastic performance, all-round performance for Atletico Madrid. They did so well. You can't take anything away from the performance. Even our own Ademola Lookman did not start, but when he came in, he was able to contribute, adding to the number of records he's breaking again. He has played about 7 games. He has 7 goals contribution. That is how important Ademola Lookman is making himself to be in that particular team. So kudos to Atletico Madrid. Looking forward to see how they perform in the next round of the Champions League.
Very well, thank you very much, Mr. Mayowa. Let's quickly touch on Newcastle and Karabakh. Newcastle, on aggregate, defeated Karabakh by 9 goals to 3. 9 goals to 3. Now, this is a team that do not seem to get it together in the English Premier League, but right there in the UEFA Champions League, they are doing justice to their matches. What do you make of that, Mr. Mayowa?
Well, I mean, even before that game started, except maybe football earthquake happened, that's the only way Karabakh would have won that particular game. I mean, it was done and dusted, and you would expect a Newcastle to to take their foot off the gas. But yesterday they showed a whole lot of intensity. They were able to score 3 goals. Yes, Karabakh was able to score 2 goals. I have a problem with Newcastle conceding goals. Sometimes it pisses me off how they concede goals. They are, sometimes they score goals and they let the opponent score. However, it showed the kind of class they've been able to come up with. I think the performance of the Champions League will probably save the job of Eddie Howe. Remember last season they were very terrible in the Champions League and they were knocked out. But this season it seems Eddie Howe is on a redemption course, and the performance so far it has been fantastic. Yes, they are playing an Azerbaijani side. Azerbaijan is not, one of the top countries in football. They are the backroad of Europe. However, any team that makes it to the Champions League, and to shock you, Karabakh played about 3-4 qualifiers before they got to the group stage of the Champions League. So any team that makes it to the group stage of the Champions League is not a small club, in as much as they are coming from a supposed small country, a country that is not, that is not high there in the football ranking list, but at least they made it to the Champions League. It means they are not a small club. They also made it to the playoff stage. The likes of Napoli were kicked out of the group stage. The likes of Napoli did not make it, and Napoli has a whole lot of budget, bigger budget than the likes of Karabakh. So I mean, kudos to Karabakh, kudos to Newcastle. They were fantastic yesterday. Gordon's has been very fantastic. Ediao has been able to, get a different kind of Newcastle to show up in the Champions League. I'm just hoping, the Newcastle that shows up in the Champions League shows up in the EPL, because I mean, how do you explain it? You are unplayable in the Champions League, but when you get to the EPL, you become a cat under the rate. So I mean, fantastic result. Nobody expected anything different, but I mean, 9 goals, definitely good performance for Ediao, and I think that saves his job at the end of the day.
Absolutely amazing. And still talking about the Champions League, we have quite a number of fixtures to go tonight. Atalanta taking on Dortmund in the second leg of the playoffs. Juventus will be hosting Galatasaray. PSG will be hosting Monaco, and Madrid will be hosting Benfica at the Stadium Bernabau. Now, Atalanta and Juventus are the only 2 Italian teams that are left in the UEFA Champions League. And as it stands, both of them are on their way out of the UEFA Champions League, especially Juventus. Dortmund defeated Atalanta by 2-0 in the first leg, and Galatasaray defeated Juve by 5-2 in the first leg. What do you make of these matches? That's one. What do you think of these matches? Also, what do you think of the Italian football so far? Inter Milan is out. Napoli is out. Now, Atalanta and Juve are on their way.
Well, can you hear me?
Out.
Yeah.
These are the Italian SerieA, but the second AC Milan league overall. What exactly is going on with the league, and what exactly is your take on the Italian SerieA so far, Mr. Mayowa?
Well, I think these are years of mismanagement. A whole lot of things have happened to the Italian SerieA, and a whole lot of them are struggling. Let's start with the Inter game before we delve into the remaining Italian teams left. Bodo Glimt, their weekly wages, right, is £183,000. Bodo Glimt, that's their weekly wages. The team that they beat, the weekly wages, Inter Milan, is over £3 million. Look at the disparity. And if you look at, apart from that, look at the stadium also. Most of the time, you can compare Italian stadium to our own NPFL league here. That a whole lot of people do not come into, to watch games. How many, before, you hardly see Italians play outside Italy. Now, even the Dortmund side, you have 2 Italians in that particular team, and they'll be playing against, an Atlanta side. That is how watered down the Italian SerieA has been. That's how unattractive the Italian SerieA has been. A whole lot of their youngsters, end up playing outside the league. And, even producing talent for the national team has been very, very difficult. Remember the World Cup qualifiers, they struggled. The Italian team struggled under a General Gattuso. They struggled. And, it's a growing concern. And it's high time, ex-internationals, the likes of Del Piero, Christian Vieri, and the likes of them, probably maybe they need to come together and do something about the Italian SerieA to make it much more attractive. Apart from that, investors are also running. There's not much more investor in Italian football because they are not making money. They have to sell a whole lot of TV rights for them to be generating funds. It is as bad as that, and I hope they can figure something out. Now let's go into today's games. For For the Atlanta side, the Atlanta Dortmund game, Sefo Gurasi has been very, very fantastic. The first leg, he scored a goal and he was also instrumental in producing an assist, which is something that the Guinean has been able to do consistently for his side. For Atlanta, since Ademola Lookman left, even before Ademola Lookman left, the performance has not been consistent, both in the league and even in the Champions League. Remember, Atlanta barely also qualified from the Champions League. They also barely qualified to make it up to the playoff because the performances has been inconsistent. Since they won the Europa League, Atlanta has been on the decline. And let's just be honest with ourselves. The reason why they continuously make it to the Champions League, yes, they won the Europa League, that gave them the Champions League. The next season that they didn't win anything, it was because the teams below them were messing up. That's the only reason why they could make it to the Champions League. If you look at the point tally total, the point they've been able to amass so far, even the Como is currently, dragging a Champions League spot with them. So it's as terrible as that. However, in the second leg, I'm hoping that Atlanta shows up, the constant Atlanta show up and give us a game. If they play the way they played in the first leg, I see another Seko Gurasi, scoring a goal again. Now the game of Juventus and Galatasaray. Galatasaray is traveling to Turin. However, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding our own Victor Osimhen. There are reports that he's planning on taking Galatasaray to FIFA because of unpaid wages and the rest of that. I hope that is not true, because that would be a source of distraction for the Galatasaray side. However, they go into that particular game with a 3-goal lead, and Juventus, they've not lost any game. They've not lost in 5 years. They lost to Inter Milan, and there was a whole lot of referee calls, poor officiating that led to that loss. However, under the new coach, under Luciano Spalletti, they've not lost in 5 games, and Galatasaray did it. Galatasaray goes into that particular game with a 3-goal lead. Juve will have to come out. However, coming out plays to the strength of Okamburak's team. If what Galatasaray need to do is to do like Bodo Glimt, defend very well, don't allow Juve to play, score the first goal, and Juve will be under a whole lot of pressure. As far as I'm concerned, I think if Galatasaray are very, very disciplined, they might end up, kicking out, Juventus. At the end of this night, maybe we'll not have any Italian teams, playing in the Champions League. However, Juve is not a side to be written off. Let's see what they can do. But if you would ask me, I think Galatasaray should be able to do it and probably make it to the next round. For PSG, Monaco, I think Monaco has not stepped up so far. I thought with the signing of Didier Drogba, Pogba. I said with the signing of Pogba, I felt Pogba I would have seen Pogba in the Champions League. For whatever reason, I think he's not registered in the Champions League, and we are not seeing him. Monaco has been inconsistent. It seems the PSG shadow, the PSG fatherhood, or how would I put it, that the PSG dominance is not breaking anytime soon. It's not, no team can stop it anytime soon. We saw what they did to Bre last season, and this season, they have the advantage over a Monaco side. So probably I think it's going to be a very difficult game, but I think PSG has enough quality to be able to dispatch a Monaco side. Now the last game, which is the most controversial one. I hope Gianluca Pristini will not be playing in that particular game, but we don't know.
Before you delve into the Madrid match, quick one. Gianluca Prestiani has been suspended for the match against Real Madrid. This was one of the talking points of last 2 weeks, UEFA Champions League first leg playoff, right? And the accusation of Vinicius Junior against Prestiani, claiming that Prestiani did make a racial slur against him in that match. And Kylian Mbappe came out after the match to affirm, and he even said it point blank, that Prestiani did call Vinicius Junior a monkey. Meanwhile, Prestiani in his own statement said that he never called Vinicius Junior a monkey. He simply said that he called him a faggot and not a monkey. Anyways, Prestiani has been suspended. Cristiano has been suspended for the match against Real Madrid today, and Jose Mourinho will be visiting his former side again today. We're going to talk
Um,
about two main things for that match. First off, the racial slur against Vinicius Junior in the first leg of the kickoff of that particular fixture, and then what exactly do you think of this match? Bear in mind that Real Madrid lost their last match 2-1. They
yeah.
lost their last match 2-1 and are now second placed behind Barcelona on the La
Wow.
Liga table, where they were comfortably seated on the top position at first, and now they've dropped again to the second position. Do you think that Benfica can upset the Real Madrid team right in Bernabau Stadium, or do you think that Real Madrid will bounce back and then be able to go all the way to the next round of the UEFA Champions League? What say you, Mr. Mayowa?
Well, let's start with the Gianluca Pristini situation. First, yes, he made a statement that he called him a gay slur, sort of, and as if gay slur makes it better. And let me equivocally state, I'm not endorsing same-sex marriage. We are in a country where that's not allowed. I'm not endorsing that. I'm not saying it's good. However, in that particular environment, that particular society, that kind of behavior is allowed. If you want to be with a man, if you want to be with a woman, it's allowed. Christianity coming out to say that even makes it worse. And I hope UEFA will come out on him. What if Vinicius Junior swings that way? What if Vinicius Junior does not like women? What if he likes man? That means you are telling him that he's less than a human being, because faggot is a very terrible word to use on anybody. It means you are classifying the person as less than a human being. I hope UEFA will not just give him a slap in the wrist. He has come out to incriminate himself. He should have stuck to the story of I didn't say anything. And because whoever is not able to prove it, they would have let it go. But now he has come out to say he called him a faggot, meaning he has been able to say that he was actually racist. Because even calling him a faggot means he's a racist. So I think it's a good one from UEFA, and I hope they find him really heavily, and I hope the Benfica as a club, they also do something drastic to him, because I mean, in that environment, same-sex marriage and swing the other way is allowed, and it will be a poor reflection if Benfica is allowing somebody that is using an homophobic slur against people to continue to play for them. Yes, I'm not saying people make mistake. I'm not saying they should banish him from playing, but I think 2-3 match suspension and a heavy fine from the club will do the justice. That's on that side. For Jose Mourinho going back to Madrid, that was a stomping ground for almost 3 years. We knew how we left Madrid controversially. Madrid has not been very impressive. Arbeloa, the jury is still out on Arbeloa. 1 week you are winning, the next week you don't know. You don't know what next. The game against Benfica, they played so well, but they only scored 1 goal, and that played into the hands of Benfica. We know how Jose Mourinho set up. However, Jose Mourinho will have to go all out to at least get an early goal to ensure that he makes the competition even. It's going to be a very difficult game, but I think if the consistent Real Madrid shows up, I think probably they have a standing. They have an opportunity to dispatch and also Mourinho side. Also, Real Madrid struggles against Portuguese side. They were able to break the jinx, last week. This week, will the jinx return? Well, we have to wait. But I think Real Madrid has enough quality to be able to dispatch, Benfica. Also, Cristiano not showing up will also be a confidence booster. And this is an opportunity for them to revenge against the nasty things, Pristini said to Vinicius Junior. So I think it's a revenge game. If Madrid come all out, I think they should be able to dispatch a Mourinho side.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayowa. So very quickly, I would like to get your predictions for any of the matches that is taken on tonight. Atalanta versus Dortmund, PSG versus Monaco, Juventus versus Galatasaray, and Real Madrid versus Benfica. Tell me, who are you swinging towards today? Which of the teams do you think would make it for the round of 16 of the
Uh,
UEFA Champions League?
should I give prediction for, or should I just pick just one game?
One or two games that you think would you would like to predict?
Okay. I first of all pick the Juventus game. I think I want I said Juventus. Sorry, I mean Juve Galatasaray game. I think I want our own Victor Osimhen to score to clear up this
I
controversy.
want
So I'm tipping Galatasaray to go there and win 2-1. Galatasaray wins 2-1 against Juventus. Then the Real Madrid Benfica game. This is what will happen. Madrid eventually qualifies, but 90 minutes and extra time, Benfica wins 1-0.
mm, brilliant. So you're tipping Benfica to go all the way to the extra time of that fixture. Well,
Penalty,
we can take
even
nothing away
even
from
penalty.
we can take nothing away from Jose Mourinho. He has proven it time and time again, and he has shown how well he can go all the way in this level or at this level of the UEFA Champions League. Jose Mourinho is not a he's not a green on in this level of the football, and he knows what it takes to be able to qualify for the next round. And with that, we'll come to the end of today's show. Thank you very much for being a part of the goalpost today. Until we see you again in the next show, keep watching the beautiful game of football and keep supporting whatever team they are supporting. Blessings.
Thank you so much, Solomon. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Solomon. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, Solomon.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so much. All right, have a wonderful day.
Have a wonderful day.